I was actually surprised to see that there was another level before the boss fight. And it made it all the more frustrating how awful this level really was. Like, I don't know if every world map in this game has the exact same amount of levels in it. If I did, then it would make it obvious. But, like, it's because the boss of this world is right next to a waterfall. So it could have been either of the waterfalls. It just made it all the more frustrating that I had to play this level because it could have very easily not existed. I died so many times here. You have to keep the fish well fed, but it's confusing because look, it ate something and then it turned red and then it attacked me. So does the game want me to eat it? So does the game want me to make the fish eat stuff or not? Because, like, you're being expected to rush all the way through. And that's not exactly good for keeping you from running into enemies that you didn't know were going to show up until the second they did. Because, like, you're being forced to rush through the whole level. A lot of times in this video you might notice that I had to unpause. And that's because, obviously, like, the level's so frantic, I can't just sit there for a couple seconds while I start recording again, so I have to pause it. And, like, obviously it plays a sound every time you pause and unpause for some reason. But yeah, this is a frustrating level. See, I like it when you go through narrow areas and you need the piranha to eat the fish in your way, because then it's being helpful. But even then, it's not like you can press a button and always make it eat the fish. That would have actually made the level fun. That, and remove the stupid bullshit where sometimes when it eats stuff, it decides to eat you. How are you supposed to know that? Like, I think it's when it's purple, then the next time it eats something, it's going to become dangerous. But, like, it's so confusing. Does it only like eating certain food? Is that it? The game doesn't really tell you the rules. Like, apparently it likes eating the the red fish, the crimson carp, because when it does that, then it's not as dangerous, but then it eats that and then it tries to hurt you. Good thing after it eats one of your partners, it immediately stops being dangerous. But, like, it's frustrating that when your partner gets attacked, they run off screen instead of, like, being thrown upwards and falling past the boundary of the screen, like in Super Mario World, which would have made it feel a little more justified that you lose your partner. Instead, like, for example, on a Toboggan Level, when you lose your partner, it actually runs away from you. Why? Why can't the partner just stay there? Like, logically speaking. It would have made more sense if the partner stayed behind and, like, they were lying down because they were defeated. Now, the reason I died here was because I actually forgot the controls. Like, again, they don't give you a HUD telling you what button you use to refill the water. And by the time I figured it out, I panicked and died. Like, because another thing is that the elephant is pretty wide. Like, you have to pay attention to where its toes are so that you won't walk off the platform when you're trying to jump off it. Like, it's awkward to platform with. Not as awkward as bigger characters, though, but you have to be careful with when you press the B button. This is a really repetitive and boring boss. Like, once you get the hang of it, it's really easy and also really boring. I remember when I first played this game, I died so many times to this boss. But now that I'm used to it, I actually wonder why it doesn't switch things up and like it goes, like, you know exactly where it's going to end up at this point. It's going to end up back to the left of the waterfall. Well, why can't it also, like, start going from counterclockwise to clockwise or vice versa in the middle of its cycle? Maybe that would be broken. It's cool that you can hit the eye across from you without jumping to the other platform first. And like, they could have made it easy. They could have made it harder by forcing it to damage the eye multiple times instead of just once. But I guess you would have had too little time to do that. But yeah, it's pretty easy. You just, like, if it's going, like the water stream goes around the waterfall, and it doesn't hurt you, but it does try to push you off to your death. But you do have some time to prevent yourself from dying. So it's actually surprisingly merciful. Like, if it's going in a counterclockwise path, then you have to go to the right, and then end up going to the left. Like, it's repetitive. You're always going, like, if you're on the left, you're always going down and then to the right, and then jumping up and then going back to the left again. I don't even know what kind of thing that boss is supposed to be. It's like, it's weird looking. This is definitely where the difficulty spike shows up. Although this level is actually fun. Like, these red barrels mimic your movement. Like, they start moving when you start moving. Usually what you have to do with them is mash the jump button. That was a cheap shot though, because you can't scroll the camera down. So I went down and I got hit by the red barrel. I didn't know what was coming up. But fortunately, they had the smarts to put a DK barrel there. Like, they knew you were gonna get hurt there. But yeah, it's a pretty exciting level. That enemy could be a cheap shot though, because it shows up before you're ready. And it just immediately starts running at you. Like, right here, the music sounds like it's from a Mega Man X game. It's really jarring. But it's also good because of that. Like, it gives it impact. I just don't know where the electric guitar came from, because... But again, that's what gives it impact. Like, these things are surprisingly fast. But yeah, it's some good music. It gives it tension. See, I don't know what they were thinking when they designed some of these DK coins. Because that thing is always facing to the right. How am I supposed to get it to face to the left when it's always facing you? I don't know what they were expecting you to do, because you can't run at light speed to get it to turn to the left. Because the barrel's going to reach it in that time. There it's tense because there's, like, it's a narrow pathway upwards, but you have just barely enough time to jump all the way through. Sometimes this level will expect you to hold down and B to go downwards past the red things. But it's not really any harder. It just feels harder because the camera is worse for that. See, before this point, I thought there would be something to get in all that empty space. But instead, there wasn't. So it just wasted time going to the left. But yeah, see, the camera isn't very good for going down. You could barely see that red barrel. Yeah, it's an exciting, fast-paced level because they're constantly moving. This game is actually the image source on TV tropes for two different tropes. Palm Tree Panic and Tree Trunk Tour. Tree Trunk Tour is basically like the hollow tree levels of this game. Like, that's what that trope is. Now I have to wonder how there is a hollow tree. I guess bugs ate it alive from the inside out. That's depressing. I really wanted to get that G, but I couldn't. Yeah, it's a pretty good idea to save before this level. The Toboggan Level is easily the worst level in the game up to this point. Like, it's really baffling how bad this level is. Like, I had a good reason to not record all... Like, I recorded all of it, like, you're gonna see all of it, but... I didn't record all of my deaths. Like, I got into that bonus barrel by complete accident. And every time I get to this, every time at the beginning of this level, I really want to skip that barrel. Not the bonus barrel, but the one that forces you to go into the toboggan. Because, like, even if you get to, like, you would expect that as a reward for getting this bonus game, you would be skipped ahead in the level, but instead, it puts you exactly where you would have been if you hadn't entered the bonus barrel. So what's the point? At least you have some time to save yourself there. Like, you can just jump again, but like I feel pressure to be jumping all the time because you have barely a split second to react to the thing that pops up on the right side of the screen, whether that's a pit or an enemy. Like, for some stupid reason, when you merely drive into the enemies, you don't kill them, even though you should be killing them with your momentum, but you don't. It's such an arbitrary rule that helps ruin the level. That, and the fact that there's pits everywhere, and you barely have any time to react to them. It's so stupid. This is a terrible level. It's just shockingly bad. Like, those things are so tall that you really do have to jump on them. It really sucks when the slope goes down, because then you have even less time to react to what's ahead of you, because the camera doesn't go down quick enough. Because you're always, like, you barely have enough time to react there. But you can't get away with always constantly jumping, because they're going to take advantage of that brief moment where you're not jumping and are still on the floor, because then you'll run into something. There's way too many pits. Like, in a level, in a platformer where you're forced to always be moving ahead, pits don't work. It's not like the camera scrolled. It's not like the camera panned out to let you see a lot of what's ahead of you. It's basically mash A the level, but don't mash A at the wrong times or you'll die. That is a terrible level, and it looks like it breezed by fast, but it felt like it took forever. But fortunately, we're back to a level that sounds like it's got really great music. Those barrels that sink down the waterfalls immediately reminded me of Super Mario Bros. 2, which I was proud of myself for finally beating, because that warp boss is really hard. But yeah, like, I really do find charm in jumping on those sinking barrels, even if there's not much time. See, I barely had enough time to damage that enemy. Like, it immediately showed up, and you have barely enough time to get away from it or kill it. Like, I think their sprites are too big. And like, yeah, you don't have much time. Like, especially this part of the level design is bullshit. You barely have enough time because you don't jump very high. I feel like if you're not Dixie here, you're completely screwed, because there's one part where you're basically forced to fly. Like right here. And being forced to fly definitely does put a unique spin on the Super Mario Bros. 2 gimmick they ripped off. But yeah, that toboggan level really made me think, why do they have only one checkpoint in this game? Why did they think it was a good idea? They obviously didn't playtest that toboggan level at all. Or if they did, they really should have listened to the suggestions to make the level better from the playtesters, but instead all they care about is finding glitches. They really should have listened to the suggestion that obviously would have been there to put more than one checkpoint in. Like, that's why I deleted Super Mario Maker 2 from my 3DS, because when a game insists on keeping the arcade system where there's only one checkpoint per level, it's only so difficult that a level should get. But that game makes the levels too hard at points. So why is there only one checkpoint? They should have a difficulty balancing thing where there's more than one checkpoint for harder levels. Because if I proved that I could get to a part of the level, why do I have to constantly redo that part of the level? And attacking those hedgehogs made me wish that when you threw a barrel at an enemy, it didn't, like, it kept going. Why does the barrel have to just immediately die just because it hit one enemy? Wouldn't it be a lot more fun if the barrel kept going on to kill all the enemies in your way? I wouldn't be surprised if the metal barrels did that, but the wooden barrels are so fragile. I definitely remembered, like, there's a specific sound that I definitely associate with this level. Like, I heard it in my head before I even heard it in the game. Like, this is definitely a fun level. I love playing as the spider thing. You press the A button to shoot a web that can turn to a platform if you press the A button again. It's a little confusing because your attack with the Y button is also the web. It keeps it convenient that the attack is on the Y button because you're always going to be hovering over the Y button anyways because it's the run button. But it does mean that you can't really constantly run and jump at the same time. Yeah, this is a tense level because, see, that's the sound that I associate with this level. But yeah, I don't know what that is, but see, that was bullshit because I had to do a blind jump there. I didn't know I was going to jump into a vat of acid. So it's a good thing the game was merciful enough to not make the pink acid instant death. Instead, it just takes away 1 of your health. And good thing that didn't kill me. Like, I feel like there's no checkpoints in this level at all. But yeah, like, this is a pretty fun level. I love playing as the spider. But it's pretty tense sometimes, avoiding getting hit. There's always a sniper from the foreground trying to shoot at you. And you barely have any time to react when it decides to finally shoot at you. It's not like there's a time limit on the screen. It's not like, it's like instantly the X appears over the green circle. It's not like it goes orange and then red. It's not that hard to dodge though. Just sometimes it catches you in cheap spots where you barely have any room to dodge. So sometimes you have to plan things out in advance to make sure that the green circle is in a place where it's convenient to dodge the fireball. That literally does look like a ball. The graphics aren't very good there. I don't know what it's. I don't know what's supposed to be that's firing at you. Like sometimes it's tense in parts where the ceiling is low and you have to jump across the pink acid. Yeah, the music is good. I hate those signs, like I always do. I don't know why you can't just keep the animals for as long as you want until you get hit enough. I could understand if the signs were a thing where once you get to this sign, you better not lose all your hit points or the animal will disappear. But then you'll be able to go back to playing as Dixie or Diddy or Kitty. But instead, they just completely rob you of the animals.